Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I got the idea for this video actually by reading the title of an article that came through my social media. I think Tom Bainbridge wrote it, and I didn't even actually read the article because I was just skimming through, and the title stuck in my head, and it made me think of something that I think is really worth covering, and that's this concept of health at any size versus exercise at any size. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And we need to talk about this because as we've all discussed here, and as health professionals have discussed, and medical doctors and everyone else have discussed at length, this whole fat acceptance idea of health at any size is a myth. It's not based on reality. That if you are morbidly obese, you will eventually develop disease from it, right? That's the whole idea. That even if right now you have a bad diet, you're morbidly obese, even if you have a fairly good diet in terms of nutrition quality, meaning you don't have any nutritional deficiencies, all right? But you still eat such an excess of calories versus your energy turnover that you're walking around 50 or 60 pounds overweight, even if your blood work and your health markers are good right now, in a few years they won't be. You know, so that's the problem with this whole health at any size thing, is that it's a delusion. And it's not based on reality. And it's not telling people they shouldn't accept themselves or they shouldn't love themselves. But again, as I've said repeatedly, loving yourself involves also taking care of your health. Meaning you can't actually legitimately claim to love yourself when you abuse your own body. Right? That's absolutely not self-love. Not even remotely close. The actual act of trying to make yourself healthier, to not die really young of lifestyle-induced diseases, is an act of self-love. And you can claim that you believe whatever you want, but actions speak louder than words, right? And if you truly love yourself, you're going to take steps to improve your health and the way that you feel, and not destroy your own body, right? That's just should be common sense. And here's the thing that we need to remember when it comes to this whole concept. I think a better way to look at it is the term that he used in his title there, and it had to do with exercise at any size. All right, now that is a better mentality than health at any size, because you can't really truly be healthy at any size. If your body weight drops too low, it's unhealthy, and if your body weight goes too high, it's unhealthy, and if you stay at either one too long, there can be permanent damage, right? And the sooner you get out of that state, the healthier you're going to be in the long term. Even if you've already caused some damage, you can start to minimize it by reversing the situation, so that at least you don't make it worse. Because even getting too thin can cause organ damage, and that organ damage may not ever be fully repaired, but at least you can avoid making it worse. And that's the concept of being obese also. You may not be able to reverse the atherosclerosis and stuff that you cause, or all the fatty liver that you cause, but you can reduce them, and you can keep them from getting worse. And that's the idea. So let's talk about the concept of exercise at any size. People who exercise and train at any given body fat will be healthier than if they don't exercise, right? So even the concept of, we know that exercise itself isn't even shown in the research. It doesn't support the idea that people who exercise are automatically going to not be obese anymore. Does it help? Can it help in the long term with eventual weight loss and keeping that weight off? Yes, it's an important factor, but by itself, it doesn't work, because even if you end up burning an extra 500 calories every day, and your total maintenance calories goes up by 500 or 600 or 700 because you're very physically active, but you still eat that 500, 600, or 700, you're going to stay at the same body weight, right? That's a given. That's understood by everyone who looks at it, and that's why exercise alone doesn't work. Training can help with total energy turnover. It can help with preserving muscle tissue, or even building muscle tissue, which will affect your metabolic rate, but you can still eat your way around the exercise. Particularly if you're already prone to obesity, you can still out-eat your training. It can absolutely be done, and it is frequently done. It's extremely useful, but it will not do it on its own. But what it does do is stave off some of the negative health markers. In other words, someone who exercises and is physically active and still morbidly obese is still going to have slightly better blood sugar, insulin sensitivity, they're going to have better cholesterol. All of these things, they're going to have improvements versus if they stayed sedentary, even if they stay at the same body weight. And I mean, I've seen people like that, even older people who are professional, who do get seen by a doctor and they admit that they're 30, 40 pounds overweight, but they do exercise. And I've met people at gyms over the years, and I've known at least one who discussed it. And he said, I know I'm overweight. I know I like food way too much. However, I lift weights 3 days a week, and I do a little bit of light cardio every day. And even though I'm still haven't lost much body weight and I'm still like 40 pounds overweight, according to my doctor, my blood work has at least improved. And so I'm accepting that as something positive, and I continue to do this because I'm not willing to put down the food. All right? I'm not willing to stave off my junk food and my fried food and other stuff. And he admitted that, right? He freely admitted that. He said, but I can at least exercise. I can do that. And I can do that consistently. And he's like, and I haven't missed a session at the gym in over 3 months. So he was lifting weights Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then doing a little bit of light cardio every single morning so that at least he was physically active. And he noted all his blood work improved. He at least got his blood markers and health markers into the normal range. After a few months of doing that, he said, his fasting glucose was normal, his cholesterol was normal. Said, and he still knows that he's overweight, but he's at least healthier at that weight than he was before. And he admitted, are there still some possible health risks from carrying the extra body weight? Yeah, and he knows that and acknowledges that. He said, but it could be worse. I could just be sitting around not exercising. So he's like, I might as well do what I can do, because I can't let go of my food. I just refuse to. I'm going to do what I can do to try to help offset the negatives of what I can't do right now as a person. And that's an interesting way to look at it, because realistically it is food addiction. It's emotional eating. It's all these other things that contribute to obesity. And that's not always an easy thing for people to get over. And people can say, oh, just put the cookie down. Well, it really isn't that easy. That's in many cases like telling the alcoholic to put the liquor down. Except the problem is we need food to survive. You can't go cold turkey off of food. Doesn't work very well. So when you have certain addictions and dopamine and everything involved with certain responses to certain foods, you're an emotional eater and you're going through stressful times, all this other stuff that contributes, you may not be able to turn those things off. But if you exercise, you will still be a hell of a lot healthier. If that person goes ahead and does resistance training, they go ahead and start walking and being more active, even if at that time in their life they're still not actively able to cut their food intake down and they're still obese, they will probably eventually lose some weight as a result of the exercise and training. Because those are two different terms, aren't they? We know that. Exercise and training are two different things. They'll probably benefit in the long term from those, but in the meantime, they can at least offset some of the health negatives. And that's the point. They at least will extend their lifespan. They'll at least improve all this morbidity risk and everything else to some extent. They will not be able to completely offset every aspect of being overweight having a negative effect on their health, but they can delay some of the diseases that obesity causes, right? They can delay their onset. They can improve their health, at least in that regard, in the meantime. So I think that's the take-home message that needs to be taken from this concept of exercise at every size. You may not be in a life situation where you are ready to reel your diet in, right? You may not be in that situation, but these people who are talking about, body acceptance and body awareness and all this health at every size nonsense, they need to drop that crap. And they need to be pushing exercise at every size. At least exercise if you can't get over your food addiction issues, right? You need to at least do that much, because it will dramatically improve your health markers. It won't make everything perfect by any means, but it's a hell of a lot better than being really obese and sitting around doing nothing. It's 10 times better. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.